to make tough decisions that impact her staff and customers.
It was carryout only, it was shortened hours. We managed to make it through pretty well. We got some government assistance.
Since reopening over the summer and bringing back furloughed employees, Ash and Elm's tap room has remained at 50% capacity.
Because we haven't felt comfortable with it, our staff hasn't felt comfortable. Like, honestly, we just worry more about our employees. You know, we care a lot about them. We've become a family over the last 5 years.
Carry-out sales and customers sitting on the patio have helped, but now with the weather cooling down and COVID-19 cases increasing, sales are down.
You know, with people not coming in to eat as much, and I don't blame them. I don't feel comfortable going into a restaurant and eating at the moment either. We are hoping that having some gift opportunities, some subscription services, some way you can still support a local business without having to physically be present there.
In an effort to adapt business during the pandemic, Ash and Elm is launching a cider subscription service. And on Black Friday, they're releasing all 12 ciders of the month in a special edition gift box.
So we're really hoping that that kind of bridges the gap. The worst months in this industry are January and February. So a lot of restaurants and businesses like ours depend on, you know, having pretty solid sales through the end of December to kind of help you get through the January, February, March. So that's what we're hoping for.
Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
Ash and Elm's owner says right now, as sales decrease in the tap room, they are trying to decide whether or not to shift back to carry-out only. She is hoping with the holidays coming and new cider releases, they won't have to make that tough decision.
After a couple of cold days, we had a nice mild day out there. In fact, it was nice driving into work this afternoon with the sun shining and the temperatures warmer. How long does that last? Meteorologist Kyle Mounts is tracking your evening forecast.
Yeah, and Mark, we're going to get one more mild day here. We'll enjoy it as we round out the week. Today, with those warm temperatures, we did have some gusty conditions, close to 50-mile-per-hour gusts just before the noon hour today in Indianapolis, and those gusts were close to 45 miles per hour in Bloomington, Kokomo, and Muncie earlier today. Winds are still breezy, they're just not quite that strong. Still seeing some of those gusts, though, between about 30 and 35 miles per hour. Winds will continue to kind of hold in that range as we go through the overnight, and by tomorrow morning we'll see those gusts dropping off below the 30-mile-per-hour threshold there. Temperature-wise, many areas still holding on to 60 in Crawfordsville, Indianapolis, and Martinsville, upper 50s for you in Greenfield. And as we go through this evening, we will find those temperatures holding pretty steady and pretty comfortable here. We're at 56 degrees with partly cloudy skies for you at 9 o'clock. Again, it'll be a little bit breezy here for us. And as we go to 10 o'clock tonight, we're at 54. Out the door, we're going to be talking about in the morning some cooler air that's going to be settling in. We have some rain that could impact your weekend plans and the Thanksgiving forecast. That's all just ahead in a few minutes.
We'll see you soon, Kyle. Thank you. A proposal to change how groups distribute food and clothes to those facing hard times is no longer on the table. Proposal 291 would have required groups passing out food in Indianapolis to register with the Office of Public Health and Safety. It would have also required groups to give 48 hours notice before an event. The original proposal contained criminal penalties, and even though those were eventually removed, the committee of the City County Council voted down the plan last night.
In putting in this bureaucratic barrier makes it really intimidating for the average person to actually take action.
What I see now is an opportunity for education, right? It was a learning opportunity. I'm not trying to harm anybody. I'm not trying to do anything negative. I want to see something different.
Activist groups had protested Prop 291, arguing that it attempted to criminalize, helping the poor.
The holidays usually mean happy homecomings for college students on break from classes, but in this year of the pandemic, the return home could lead to some COVID complications. Up next, how some universities are preparing for the big send-off.
Most remote workers are less likely to take a sick day. A recent survey found 67% of remote workers are less likely to call out when they feel sick. About the same amount say they believe anything less severe than the coronavirus would be considered suspicious by their employer. 7 in 10 people reported working while sick. Half of the 2,000 people surveyed said the pandemic makes other illnesses seem minor. As the Thanksgiving holiday approaches, college campuses across the country will empty out. Tens of thousands of students will head home for the break, and public health experts fear mass travel and indoor gatherings could spark super spreading of the coronavirus. Usher Qureshi takes a look at how some universities are now preparing.
Within days of returning to campus this fall, Brianna DeWall contracted the coronavirus.
We went out to a party and all my friends got it. So we're assuming someone at that party had it and didn't know.
The return to college campuses in August and September coincided with a 55% increase nationally of COVID cases in young adults ages 18 to 22. Next week, DeWall's headed home for the holidays, but plans to get tested before she travels.
I will be flying, so I feel like that's a precaution I should take.
While her school isn't requiring mandatory exit testing, other schools are. Penn State is offering free voluntary exit tests. The University of Michigan has made exit testing mandatory, and New York State's university system is also mandating a negative test result for all of its students before they leave campus.
Some people may get a test. That's not going to decrease the risk to zero, but it is going to decrease the risk substantially.
Dr. Amish Adalja is a senior scholar with the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. He warns that without extra precautions like frequent testing, mask wearing, social distancing, and self-quarantining ahead of the holiday, the risk of community spread is high.
It is going to be a major challenge when you have your student body move from campus back home and then come back on campus, because that's likely to introduce more levels of infection.
Earlier this year, researchers tracking 7.5 million students at more than 1,300 universities concluded that thousands of college students may have picked up COVID-19 while at densely packed spring break destinations, only to return to infect others with the virus. Some schools like DeWall's are not having students return to campus until January and have canceled spring break. But once again, testing is voluntary.
I think we should have to get tested before we come back, and I think it's very careless that they aren't requiring us to get tested before we go home.
The CDC hasn't issued any specific COVID guidance on colleges and break, and while the American College Health Association encourages testing, it stops short of calling for it to be mandatory.
And colleges, we know, have been hotspots for infection, especially with off-campus activity, so I do think this is going to be particularly challenging to accomplish.
I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
You don't need the umbrella just yet, but we do have some more wet weather on the way, and we could see between about a ½ inch and an inch of rainfall. When that'll move in, you're watching WRTV News at 7.
A well-known local activist is leading a grassroots effort to help people celebrate Thanksgiving with a warm meal. It's a luxury many families cannot afford this year. WRTV's Cameron Riddle shows how one community will feed thousands of Hoosiers.
Each holiday season, there is always a request to help bring a happy holiday to those in need. This year, that call for help is louder than ever.
The unemployment rate is at the roof. You know, a lot of people are unemployed, wondering how they're going to pay their bills, facing evictions, and let alone trying to worry about providing food for their family.
2020 will be the 6th year community leader D. Ross has organized his No Family Will Starve giveaway for Thanksgiving. This year, he's leading the charge to feed more than 1,000 people by giving 150 families a turkey and enough food to feed 6 to 8 people for the next 2 months.
Last year, we only did 60 families, and the year before that was 50 families. And so we're growing every single year. The need is growing every single year.
The pandemic has closed the usual places where the group can store food. So this year, Ross is forced to use his own home and borrowed space from volunteers to keep the food cold. Tonight, the basement of Ross's own home is packed with frozen turkeys.
In the past, we were partnering up with maybe a community center or a church to store everything. But with COVID, it's hard. You know, their doors is locked. You know, we don't have the opportunities to have a walk-in freezer. We would love that.
Ross has connected with apartment complexes on the east side to find the people who truly need the most help, meaning those who are behind on their rent or who have multiple children. But the work doesn't stop with just handing out food. He'll be keeping tabs on the recipients in hopes of ensuring their situation gets better.
Figure out what the need is so we get to the root causes so they can become financially stable, so they won't have to depend on these resources every single year.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
So far, 50 volunteers have signed up to help Ross deliver the food this Saturday. They'll be going door to door, dropping off the goods while wearing their PPE.
Well, today we had nice warmth across central Indiana. We made it into the middle 60s, not record warmth though. That is 76 degrees, set for another year here, but it was set in 1930. Temperature-wise out there this evening, not doing too bad at 60 degrees in Connorsville, Crawfordsville, Greencastle, Indianapolis, Martinsville, all enjoying those temperatures right around 60. And as we look downtown, we've got those temperatures that aren't feeling too much cooler than that, especially with that south breeze. We got around 20 miles per hour. So that's going to be keeping those temperatures up tonight with humidity at just 28%. And here's why we've had those breezy conditions between an area of low pressure off to our northwest and high pressure off to the southeast. That low, though, will be pulling away from the area, and that allows those winds to become not quite so gusty tonight. We'll still have some gusts, though, between about 20 and 30 miles per hour, with our temperature dropping down to around 49 degrees. Average high is 50. So a nice start here for our Friday. One change we're going to notice, though, we will have more clouds around with those temperatures in the 50s, 55 degrees for you at noon, 60 as we get to around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we'll have those winds tomorrow, southwest, around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So not nearly as gusty as what we had today. Temperature-wise, one more day in the 60s, 64 in Lafayette, 62 in Bloomington, 63 for you in the Indianapolis area. And looking ahead to the upcoming weekend, that's where the changes come into play. Highs will be right around 50 both days, and we've got the chance for some showers. About 30% chance of rain on Saturday. I think Saturday night into Sunday is the better chance for some wet weather here, and we'll map that out for you with TrueCast. This is 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, kind of locked into the cloud cover at that point, but shower chances most likely near and south of I-70. There we get into the overnight hours and early of Sunday morning, and you see more widespread green, a little bit of pink showing up here. We may have a brief wintry mix with temperatures close to the freezing mark, but I think they will be warming up here, and that will get us back into rain as we get toward the middle of the day on Sunday. But it could be a soaking rain here as we go through a good chunk of the day. Rainfall potential cranking out about a ½ inch to an inch of rainfall. So you see those models in pretty good agreement here. We're not looking at any thunderstorm activity as we go through the next couple of days, but certainly some needed rain as we still have some dry to even moderate drought conditions across northwestern portions of central Indiana. So enjoy the 60s tomorrow. 63 will be the high there with the cloud cover around. We'll start off our weekend at 45 there, 50 on Saturday, and we'll get those scattered showers becoming more numerous again as we go through the weekend. Looking into next week, a short week for many of us with Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday, and we do have some cool temperatures as we get going here Monday and Tuesday, but that's not too far away from average. Then as we get into Wednesday, if you do have some travel, looks like rain's going to be fairly likely there with a system that will then move through, and typically behind rain we get cooler. Not the case for Thanksgiving though, 54 and partly sunny. Looking pretty good right now. We'll be right back here on the news at 7.
Your Roomba might help keep your house clean, but it might also be listening to you as well. A researcher at the University of Maryland says his team developed a way to turn the Roomba's laser navigation into a device to pick up sound waves. Certain software can then translate those sound waves into words. Researchers did this by hacking into the Roomba's software and recording sounds from 2 sources. Researchers put those sounds into a computer and found the Roomba recordings were 90% accurate.
Google wants to help kids keep track of their parents. Google added a new feature to its AI assistant to help families find each other. Each family member must be linked to a family account on Google. Once linked, you just need to ask Google Assistant, "Hey Google, where's my family?" The assistant will then show everyone's location with the help of Google Maps and Life 360. You can also limit the search by asking for a person by name.
Former President Barack Obama's new memoir is off to a record-setting start. A Promised Land sold about 890,000 copies in the first 24 hours of release. The previous record for first-day sales by a former resident of the White House was 725,000 by Michelle Obama for her book, Becoming, in 2018. Bill Clinton's memoir sold about 440,000 the first day, and George W. Bush's memoir sold about 220,000.
Walmart is making it easier for you to deck the halls while staying COVID safe. The company is now offering to deliver a freshly cut Christmas tree to your door, ready for you to hang your ornaments. You can also choose to have a potted holiday plant delivered to your home. Walmart will also decorate your house with glistening holiday lights. If you already have lights, you can have a team professionally install them for you and even take them down. For more info and details, head to walmart.com. I like that idea. Very helpful.
I don't know about the tree. No two trees are the same, right? Kind of like to go and pick. No. Okay, Amanda's over.
I'm lazy.
All right. Just bring her the tree right now. Well, maybe you head out there and get a tree tomorrow. Nice weather for it. 63 degrees for our Friday. We get some rain chances, though, as we head into the upcoming weekend. Those temperatures around 50. And right now, Thanksgiving looking pretty good with a high of 54.
I think part of the joy is actually doing the work.
I'm going to just recruit you guys to help me now.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Call us.
I will.